Hello and welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, Miss Expert. So today we are in the fourth session of our Rest Assured Test Automation Framework training series. So let me just recall about my previous sessions in case if you haven't gone through those things. So in my initial session, I discussed with you what are the prerequisites that we need in order to get started with this automation framework. And then in my second session, I discussed with you how to create your very first Maven project and how to add the dependencies to the POM file and how to install software to Eclipse. And in my next session, I discussed with you how to start the test implementation. So I started with the from the scratch, from very beginning. So I showed you how to create a class, create a function, and add annotations to the function, and like how to run the API request and how to add the assertions. So at last we discussed how to add the assertions. So let me move to the demonstration. So this is the class we have created, the package test, and the class name is test scenarios. So the very first test case we have written is this one, right? So I showed you how to do the assertions. So we used this method assert equals. So that day I just mentioned that there's another way of asserting in rest assured. So let me show you that. So let me expand this as well. Yeah, so we are here, right? What else in here? Yes, I have created the package and you can see the test scenario.java class here. And here's my POM file. Uh, so yes, so let me quickly go to the Rest Assured official website. So in case if you didn't go through my previous sessions on Rest Assured, you can simply refer these things. So it would be useful for you guys. And I'll go to the Rest Assured official web page. So in here, when you go to this docs folder and go to this one, getting started, and here we are directed to a GitHub page like this. So if you scroll down a little bit, and if you go to this usage guides, um, I showed you there's another way of doing assertions. So it's very simple. So it's like this, right? We can do the assertions like this. That means we are like extracting a particular value um, like this by providing the API endpoint here, and we are using this particular method equal to, right? So we can give. So there are some predefined methods like this. So same as we used earlier, which is assert equals. So in here, it's checking the outcome here to this one, the value given within the double quotations, that is John. So there's a comparison in between these values. So if the value which comes from this particular part is equals to John, then this particular assertion is green, right? That means it's okay, it's passing. So in case if it's not equal, then there's a failure. So same as that here also they are doing the very same thing. So for that, you need to do a static import. So if you scroll down here, here you have to do a static import in order to use that one, right? So let me show you how to do that in my Eclipse, because in here we didn't do a static import. So simply if you type static here, import static space IO, then we have to put dot and then star mark. Then this refers to everything, right? So here when I do this one, you can see here I get an error like this. This rest assured is underlined. So let me zoom it. Yes, here you can see this is getting there's an error here. So that means we do not need this rest assured no longer because we have done a static import here. So simply I can remove all these along with the this dot here, right? Okay, then we can move forward with this part without an error. So let me save this and I'm going to create another function for today's session, right? So let me start with the test annotation first. So here we have to get it from testng public void. Void is the return type and let me name my second function as function 2 because in my first function I named it as function 1. So in here, let me start it with given, right? Then I'm using the auto suggestions and you have to select this one. Control space bar. If you do not see the suggestions, you can press control and space bar in your keyboard, right? So I'm going to move forward with this first option, which is request specification. So let me select it and then I'm using the get method and then you have to give the API endpoint within the brackets. So let me use the previous one, which I have taken from reqres dot in web page. And I can further split this API endpoint by introducing a base URI. Here, this is also comes from the rest assured class. Base URI equals to, so I'm going to use this part, right? Control X. And you have to give a semicolon here. And I'm getting an error here because I didn't end this one in the line here. So then I have to give dot and the next thing is then, right? To validate the response. Then we can assert the status code same as earlier. Um, okay, so I'm doing the assertion uh, like this. So if you want to beautify this, okay, so this is the function. We can do the assertion like this. So there's a difference here, right? So in my previous function, I used this assertion assert equals, and now I'm using a different thing where I have to do a static import. Okay, so let me run this. You can right click here and use run as, then testng test. Okay, all are green, and if you go to the console, yes, you can see you have obtained the output like this, right? Okay. Okay, so before moving to my next part, um, I'm going to the REQRES web page where we have obtained the fake APIs for testing, right? REST API for testing. And if you scroll down a bit, you get this site, right? REQRES. And here, there are some fake APIs which we can use for testing purposes. So in my initial example, I used this one, right? So this is the endpoint and this is the response. Okay, so you see the API response here, but you can see that it's not. We can't read it very easily, so we can beautify that, right? You simply have to copy this, and if you uh, search in your browser like this, JSON path find, we can arrange our API response in a way where we can read it very easily. So let me just erase this part and let me paste the URL which I have copied from here, right? So here I have copied it. If I scroll like this, you can see. So it's pasted in a single line. So let me beautify this. So in here, when I use this beautify option in the JSON Pathfinder, I can easily read this, and it's very beautiful, just as in this, just as in here, just like this, right? So it's so we get the response in a more readable way. So in here, if you want to find like, let me expand these things. Here you see data and support. So those are the things which we see here. Here this is data, and here you get support. Suppose I want to select, so in here under data you see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Starting from 0. So the ID at the 0th level is 7 and ID at the first level is 8. 0, 1, 2. So we are reading it like this, right? So ID at the 0th index is 7th. So say we want to assert it. So if you want to select this one, you can see in this position you get the uh, path for that. Okay, so you don't have to worry. So you are given it that option in this JSON Pathfinder. So actually there are some plugins which you can use for if you are using the Chrome browser. Then you can use a JSON Pathfinder plugin, and you can add it so that you can easily find the path like this. When you select this one, you can see this changes, the path changes automatically, right? Say for example, I want to check this one, so I'm going to assert this. Assert what? Yes, I'm going to assert the ID at the 0th level is 7 or not. So let me show you how we can do that. So here I can simply copy this part, and yeah, rather than using the semicolon, I'm going to use a dot because I'm not going to finish it here, and I will enter. Okay, then I'm going to say, so when I say body here also I'm getting an error, so you have to use the suggestions. That means press Control and space bar in your keyboard, and I'm going to use this one, right? So in here, okay, so we have to import the other things as well. In the usage guide here, you see some other imports which we didn't do earlier. So I'm going to simply copy this and paste it. So let me paste it under here. So I'm going to do a static import here as well, right? Import space static space. Okay, the same thing I'm going to do here as well. Here you have to give the semicolon. That's why here also you have to end the line with a semicolon. Okay, Okay, now we have to paste the path we found here, right? In case if you want to check this one, then you have to give ID at the first place. Now I'm using this one, which is the zeroth index. Therefore, data and within brackets you get 0 and dot ID. Now, in case if you want to check this email, then you have to say email at the zeroth index. So let me show that as well. Email at the zeroth index. So it's like that, right? So I want to assert this one, and I'm going to copy this part. And I'm going to say equal to. So what we found is 7, right? So let me finish this with the semicolon. Um, I'm going to save this and let me run and show you the output. Okay, let me zoom this a bit in case if you can't see the function properly. So yes, so here what I did is I did an assertion to find the ID at the zeroth index, and I want to compare it with 7, right? Because in here you can see the ID at the zeroth level is 7. So let me run my scenario. Okay, so it's green, and you can see that it's getting through. And if you check the console here also, I don't see any errors here. So let me create a failure scenario as well here, right? Same as we did earlier. So in our earlier case, I changed this to 201. So then we got an assert failure. So same as here. So if I use some any other number like 3, say for example, so let me see whether I can get a failure, right? Yes, it's red. So you can see here there's an assert failure. Here you can see assert failure, expectation and the actual values are different. Expected is 3 and actual is 7. So that's why. So if you check the console, so here also this is the error trace that you get. Here they say the expected value is 3 and the actual value is 7. So there's a mismatch between the expected and actual. So you get an assertion failure. And yeah, that's it about it. Now let me correct it as earlier. So we will get a we won't get a failure scenario here. And say for example, you want to print the output, right? So for that you can use log all, right? Log function. I'm going to use this one dot all, log and dot all. You can always you will always get the suggestions once you do the imports correctly. So when I use this one, what happens is I can get the output printed. So let me save this and run my test case. Okay, I'll do it here. Okay. Okay, this is because the actual value should be 7 in my previous case. Here, let me correct this to 7. And now it should be green. Yes, it's green. So we can check the output in the console. So you can see uh, this is printed, right? The output or the API response we get is printed here because we gave this log all option. So this is how it works actually. So there are some resources which I showed here in our EQRES in page. So there are several fake APIs which you can use, and you can try out these things. So you will find it very interesting. So yes, and one thing you learned today is the JSON Pathfinder. So you can use this moving forward when you're doing more tests in REST Assured. So in my upcoming sessions, I'll be doing some complex scenarios as well. So it's better if you can try out these things on your own. So yes, that's all for today's session. So thank you for joining with me. Have a good day.